What type of energy source do you think is most appropriate for Cuba as part of the topic today?
Right. Well, he's the expert, but I mean, as little as I know, what I read, everything I read was what he wrote, and he's a compliment because he knows so much about it. So, but if it was me, I would be looking to two things. One is I would be looking for a way to get natural gas to Cuba. So you have a pipeline that's 90 miles away from Key West. You can also bring in natural gas, whether it's Venezuela or Trinidad. And I would also have a niche play with solar and wind. Not too much, because part of the challenge in Cuba is the hurricanes. So even though we built these wind projects and solar projects for 150-mile-an-hour winds, you're at the mercy of one major hurricane. So if I were the betting man, I'd be doing natural gas and solar all the way. But I might be wrong.
Have you guys heard of the Marcellus Shale? And
Of course, yeah.
you guys investing in that?
Investing?
What was the question?
Marcellus Shale. So Marcellus Shale is obviously where, with the new fracking opportunity, there's found incredible reserves of natural gas. And when we, for example, when we are pushing for that third pipeline that transco's in Alabama, the likelihood is that that gas is flowing from Marcellus. Because you can't, it's like electrons, you really don't know where it originated, but pretty sure that that's where it's coming from. It's amazing. I should have brought a map. If you look at a map of natural gas pipelines in the United States, it's more complex than a transmission grid. There's natural gas pipelines flowing all over the place, probably under your house. But it's amazing. It's amazing. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Not long ago, I read, the Spanish people have made a substantial investment in the Arizona desert where they built solar panels. I mean, a station, with a lot of solar panels. You can see, for miles how many they have. And is FPL involved in any of this at the desert?
Oh yeah, yeah. The Genesis plant is in the desert, and that's going to be 250 megawatts. We're also working in a very remote area called Blythe, which is, if you go west of the Arizona desert, right into the California state line, it's about right there. And that we're looking at 500 megawatt. So we've got over probably 2,000 megawatts of development going on in solar, both PV and solar thermal. A lot.
I had a question about nuclear, especially given what happened in Japan with the tsunami and the nuclear disaster there. Right. I mean, how realistic is it that they would actually permit in the United States additional new nuclear plants?
I think the issue in Japan was obviously, look, if you're Japan and if you want to second guess the Japanese, you go, okay, I'm an island, I have no indigenous resources, I have no oil, I have no coal, I have no gas. So they built a nuclear plant. Because if not, you're at the mercy of the Russians, right, forever. And that wasn't exactly a good political combination. So they built these nuclear plants. So unfortunately, the issue is they built it on a fault line. That's a bad thing. So, but if you look at some of the nuclear plants in Arizona and California, they're also on a fault line. So it's a great question. So for us, I think we believe that there can be and should be the ability to get permit. And we were, it's been a very tedious and very tough process, but we're working our way through it. We will probably get our license in 2014 for the next Turkey Point. However, there's a lot going on in Tallahassee right now that is very anti-building nuclear. So what's happening in Tallahassee now is FPL and others in the state of Florida were always able to get what they call advanced cost recovery, which is it's a political topic, it's a hot topic. And basically what that does, it allows you to be basically taking back from the consumer to basically pre-fund some of these assets. Because without that, nobody would take the risk of building a nuclear plant. Anyways, what's happened is our sister company, Progress Energy, has had a lot of problems with their nuclear assets. They're shutting down Crystal River for good, and they're looking to abandon the project that they're looking to build the next generation of nuclear. So because of their tough issues, the politicians have just swarming over this issue of cost recovery. So we're doing the best we can to keep this in play. But I don't know what's going to come out of that. But without cost recovery, you're not going to see one utility pursuing a nuclear plant. So it's a shame because nuclear plants do very well.
Okay, one last question.
The earthquake that hit Naples a couple of years ago, was that a surprise, or is that something that
Was to me.
prepared for?
I mean, look, it's funny. We're so. I mean, if you work for FPL, you're like ingrained in hurricanes, right? We deal with hurricanes every day. We understand hurricanes. We're like autopilot. We've never been, in essence, any way challenged or prepared or even clue of what I would call a major earthquake scenario. So I think it was a surprise. I think I'd find it hard pressed to say somebody would say that it wasn't a surprise. I mean, I'm just being honest with you.
Well, to graduate civil engineer from the University of Miami, that was not a surprise.
Really? There you go.
You also had a professor that talked about it, or?
Yeah, Professor Stevens. Yes.
Oh, Stephen, yes.
He caused it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very
Thank you.
much.